Thank you for joining us on Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom, number 90-something. I'm Greg, your host, and the gang is all here. We got Luff, Mike, John, and John, and all the other Johns, and all the other non-Johns. And we're going to talk about slot cars. So let's get right to the fun part. Does anybody have any show and or tell they'd like to show and or tell about? Mr. Crawley waved his actual hand. Go ahead, Mr. Crawley. Anybody else welcome to raise their virtual hand, and we'll make sure we get to you. Go ahead, John.
Now, I just got this week. You see it there? From Hot Laps Racing. I got 3 of them, 1/32 scale sprint cars. And you can get them with or without the wings.
I'd have guessed that at 1/24th, not 1/32.
I'm sorry, 1/24th, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
1/24th. But they are fast and fun.
Very cool.
Now, they said they were 1/32nd. But you're right. When I look at them compared to my 1/32 stuff, they look like they're larger. So,
yeah. I mean, they'll run on a 1/32 track probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They run on my Carrera track just fine.
Yeah.
But
Carrera's 1/24th. So.
Yeah.
But they'll probably run on a scale electric track. Okay. But yeah.
I would imagine.
More
I've got one of those.
You got one of those left? Are they about? Do you think they would fit on a scale electric track?
They probably fit. I think the one I've got, I think it has a little ripper motor in it.
Does that have a little ripper in it, John? Or is it labeled at all?
It looks like an inline, almost like what a Formula car would have.
Oh, like a slim cam?
Yeah.
Oh,
interesting.
But the wings are held on with Velcro?
No, these are glued on, I believe. No, they're Velcroed. You're right. They're Velcroed on. Yeah. Here and here. Yeah.
And
you can bother taking them off.
Yeah.
It looked like it had foam tires on it.
They do. They have some kind of little foamies. They tend to grip real well though. So
yeah, foam rubber.
And you might tell Michael they come in red too.
It's his favorite color.
What, the tires or the cars?
No, the car.
All right, awesome. Thanks for sharing, John. And Mr. Kit has his virtual hand up. Go ahead, John. You're muted.
No, thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I wanted to clarify. I didn't show all the parts that you get the 935 kit last week.
Yeah, show it off.
And also, there's always I have a tendency to do shameless plugs. Mm-hmm. So
plug away.
There we go. So that's all that you get with the 935 kit. So all the glass, there's the windshield, the 2 side glass pieces, the rear glass, the covers for the front lights, the lightweight interior, the dashboard that goes across, steering wheel. That, believe it or not, is the windshield wiper that goes right on the front of the car. Driver's arms, racing seat, driver's body, and driver's head. And you can see that I've actually included some proper inserts, as well as the rear wing top element.
Bitchin'.
So that's everything, and just another sort of shot of what you get.
That was way cool, John.
Well, thank you. But I'm looking forward to seeing some of the folks. Well, Dennis especially, once he gets his, to see the chassis that he puts under it.
Yeah, that's going to be something.
Yeah,
interesting.
Enjoy the process. Take all the artistic liberties you feel like taking.
That car looks just awesome. Just awesome, John.
Oh, thank you. Well, and then I thought I'd also show the 2G and what you get, and then I realized when I took the picture, I only put one strut in the photo, so I apologize. But you do get 2 struts, just so you know. I'm not trying to rip off anybody for a strut.
John, all these are complete white kits, right? I know that some of their previous work you had poured colored resin.
Correct, and the reason was that I was actually some people have actually ordered a couple of 2Gs already, and they specifically asked for white, so I'm just pouring white. The really neat thing, Dewan, is that it's got a few little thin areas, but you could really polish that up without even having to paint it.
And if
So-
somebody wanted to do a specific color pull of something, they could ask for that still, or?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. No worries. Whatever color they want. And then I know I didn't give you the inserts, Dennis, but I did give you, I just wanted to show you again that this is the monogram head that I include, which is like their version of Jim Hall for you.
Very nice.
And that's
And
basically
Frank-
what Frank's gonna get.
Frank,
Yeah,
put it
that's
on-
great.
Frank, I don't know if I gave you the tracking number for yours, but it's both yours and Dennis's are in Chicago right now.
All right.
I have to
Thank you,
caution
sir.
you, that's according to Canada Post. Who the hell knows if they know what they're actually doing? So.
Dennis, I don't know if you've talked to Chris Walker lately. I know he's still active on forums and stuff. He just hasn't popped in here. Have you talked to him about the next
Not
step
yet.
once you get here? Okay.
Okay,
Touch base with him,
I'll get the card then.
I was gonna say, if he doesn't want to do the livery, maybe you can, or maybe somebody else can, or
Greg,
Or
what
I can-
tires do
I
you
can.
run on your track?
what was that?
What tires do you run?
Anything but silicone. I
Okay,
run
so if I
NSR, I run slotted, I run stock
Okay.
scaly,
Mostly rubber.
mostly rubber, but some urethane.
Okay,
But yeah,
And don't forget, Dennis, I included the wheels and tires that Leo had sent,
yeah,
and they were slotted Porsche wheels and tires.
okay, and I'll probably use those at least for the. I'll probably use the wheels. I'll have a look at whatever the tires are before I make a final decision on that. But great, I'm looking forward to it.
me too.
Hey, Greg, you were mentioning on that car that I showed that the foam tires.
Yeah.
Apparently the people that I bought this from said that they have people that take the Pioneer Legend tires and put them on this as well. So if you don't want to run foam, you can run those.
I would use the foam.
Yeah.
I'm not a real big fan of the Pioneer Legends tires to begin with, but we got them to work okay. But if those things come with foam rubber, I'd sooner use the foam rubber. That stuff rips.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you, John. And Garth, you have your virtual hand up. What's up, Garth?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that John Rodriguez.
Oh, come on. Give me a second. I thought you were showing and telling. I'll put John on the spot after show and tell. Do you have anything to show
Oh,
and
okay,
tell?
I thought you did the new guys first. Okay.
I mean, I didn't notice him until we started show and tell, but I wasn't, now that you've called him out on it, I guess we have to go ahead and call him, bring him front and center. Mr. Rodriguez, you've been an attendee for a while and you decided to be shamed into turning your camera on, I believe, by Garth and somebody else. Would you like to share a little bit about John Rodriguez's slot car history? If so, be sure to unmute yourself and tell us all about Mr. Rodriguez.
Well, good afternoon or good morning to everybody. It was nice having you guys here. First of all, I want to apologize to you, Greg. I just had the wrong times when I went on earlier to see what time the chat was going to be on.
Oh, you weren't the only one.
Like an idiot.
It wasn't just you.
There's nobody here.
Don't worry, you weren't the only one and you won't be the last one.
I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But anyways, my name is John Rodriguez. I've been doing slot cars for like 3-4 years now. I've been watching you guys for a while, about 6-7 months. I've learned a lot. You guys are awesome. And here I am.
Where you am?
I'm sorry, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island.
Up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
What kind of slot racing do you primarily do? Analog, digital, scale?
I have a Carrera digital track.
There we go. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining in, and feel free to pitch in anytime you feel like the urge hits you. And
Thank you so much.
we'll take you off the spot now. And Henry has his virtual hand up. What's going on in your neck of the woods, Henry?
I just want to congratulate Greg for actually graduating clown college. Well done.
Okay. That's my dog speaking his toy. Thank you for noticing.
Sure,
Go ahead,
Greg.
Henry.
Let's see if I can share a screen. I don't know if you are familiar with this one.
Oh, those are. I've seen those, but I forgot the brand.
Sky Lotto by the looks of it.
Frank's,
Sky
Frank's
Lotto
Lotto.
Classic Tour.
And let's see, I've bought them about 3 years ago, and they're not making them anymore. So I was looking forward to make it something else. There are, I think, of a scale of 117, 118, and they have metal fronts, metal bottom plates. So as you know, I'm a fan of 3D printing. Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's your 3D printed version. That looks pretty good.
And I'm working on it still. Let's see. And these are the lost components. So it's normally.
That's the original.
And yeah, it's original. And yeah, the boy said, yeah, you can make it to 3D because it's not heavy enough. You need a metal plate. But I think let's try it first. And it's the startup.
Yeah, I mean, guys spend all kinds of time making things lighter. I don't know how. there's no requirement that it be heavy. I'm sure it'll work just fine.
No, and I don't know if I can share it if driving. Let's see.
Henry, your front bolt for your flag, for your guide, do you tighten that down real tight or do you keep it fairly loose?
Yeah, it's now loose. I think it's loose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I can share this at this moment.
Might as well try. You might have to stop. Yeah, you'll need to stop sharing the picture and then share the video separately, I think. Because we're still looking at the picture.
Okay, then I will stop this. Hopefully. And set it in the minus.
And I'm going to turn off your video so that you can share your screen showing video because your bandwidth isn't enough for both.
Okay.
And then we need to stop the picture sharing, so I'm going to do that. Now share and then choose your video that you were trying to watch.
Fuck. One moment, please. Do you get any?
Not yet.
No.
We could always post it up on YouTube and share a link to it.
Yeah. Okay. But okay, at the end it drives very good at the career track. Start my video, is that?
Yeah, I had turned it off earlier, so you can turn it back on now.
Okay. But yeah, for in the beginning it drives wonderful, and it has about 50 grams less weight, and yeah, it's a mock-up. It's just a start, and yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Here, let me spotlight you. Hold on here. Can you show the bottom of the chassis? How is the motor mounted?
I needed a metal in my
A little L bracket of some sort?
Yeah, an L shape. Yeah, that's the only metal thing it's on now at this moment. And we're making, this is the original figure in it, and we are modeling at this moment a new figure because it's a resin, and I saw about the cost. It costs you about 10 euros to make a resin a doll.
And it doesn't look. You could probably design your figure to fit your cart better than that figure fits that cart.
Yeah, I think the figure is more as a child. I don't think it's it's 1/18.
Yeah, it needs to be bigger, and then
Yeah.
change the pose so it fits better.
Yeah. But we're working on that phase at the moment, and yeah, a little bit of styling, but it drives wonderful at the moment.
You
So
said
Henry's managed to do something that's a little bit rare there, and that is to take 50 grams out of a car. And I was wondering if the 50-gram car ran a lot worse than the lightweight one, the new one.
That's a good question. How do they compare?
Yeah, good question. They're all driving on foam, and so the grip on Carrera is very good. I think it's about 32 kilometers per hour now, so it's a really fast car. I think the handling is easier with 3G than with metal.
you said that's 1/18 scale.
116, 117 scale, I think.
Wow, and it fits on the Carrera track with cars.
Oh, I've tried it on a club with 4 cars, and because they're always a bit for wheels are going to each other with open wheels, but that's not the case. It drives wonderful, no problem at all.
What is the actual width, lane width that the cars are taking up?
It looked like it's going to be wanting to take up almost a 1/24th scale lane. Oh, it looks like it might be a little big for a 1/32nd scale lane.
Yeah, I think so, Greg. If I do the math, it's from left to right. Yeah, it's in Dutch, 77 millimeters.
That translates into
Are those Dutch millimeters different to everyone else's then?
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you'll have to do the
Wayne.
conversion on that one, Wayne.
If I do it on, I can switch it to inch.
That's 3 inches.
That's very narrow.
3 inches is 76 millimeters.
That's quite narrow. That's
33.2.
Yeah, so that might just fit on a scale like your piece of track. But yeah, they'd be super close. So you'd have to drive like perfect angels next to one another in order to not touch tires and go off.
But it's strange. If you see on Frankenslot on the website, they're still on. But they don't sell it to another country than Germany. Yeah.
Find a German friend to buy them and then ship them to you.
Yeah, that's what I say. Ship them to a friend in Holland, and then you can get it any further. That is stupid. But it's a challenge to make it in 3D, I think.
Yeah, that's super cool. Do you have plans for either releasing the files or selling it as a product through your business?
Let's say I want to build 5 or 6 of them, and let's see if they want to drive it on the club, and see first see if it's fun, because they say on the website it's 70 euros, something like that, on Frankenslot. And if I'm doing the math, yeah, there are normally with terrain tires, you call it. Terrain, PLU tires, and we don't want to drive that because they take all the dust off from your lane.
Oh, silicone?
Silicone tires, I think, yeah. And these are foam tires, and only the foam tires only cost 15 euros. 2 foam tires. So from Scale Auto, 70 millimeters. So and then a motor ring of 12 euros. So I make them for 60, 70 euros will they cost, because only on components. So it's not difficult. It's not easy to sell, I think.
Hey, let's see what happens. I look forward to hearing what your club thinks once you get a few of them on the track.
Yeah, let's see.
Good deal. All right. Anything else, Henry?
No, thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else have any questions for Henry? Seeing or hearing none, we're moving on. Thank you for sharing, Henry. Does anybody else have any show and or tell? Might have a short show tonight. Hey, Alan, do you want to do an intro? I don't think you've been on the Zoom chat yet. I know you know where the unmute button is. There it is.
There. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is my first time up. I'm located in Minnesota, United States, 74 years old, retired naval aviator with a background in research and development avionics systems for military aircraft. And I've been in slots since basically the mid 60s, starting with the model motoring, little HO vibrators. And then from there, went to the local hobby shop about 2 weeks later to get another car. And I saw the owner making all kinds of sawdust, putting in a routed track. And from there, it was just all over. I went 143rd, 132nd, and been playing with slots ever since. Been predominantly HO and 143rd, but I am introducing 132nd now, as Greg's aware of. And do a lot of 3D printing, both FDM and rosin, and also do a lot on the electronic side. And right now I have a HO drag strip and a 143rd drag strip, and we'll be putting in a 132nd digital very, very shortly. And I guess I could roll over to a little show and tell, I guess, Greg, just to.
Yeah, go ahead. Then we'll get to Iceman. Go ahead, Alan.
A couple of you have seen this already, but this is a rosin printed 143rd GT40 Mark IV. And then here is the HO version of it that just came off the printer today. And
Nice.
right now, as we speak, the 132nd size is being printed. And then on the drag racing side, here's one of my little pride and joys. That's a 143rd gasser, rosin printed. And it's running a stock Arden chassis, basically a $2.50 chassis. It's got a 6-volt motor in it, but you put it up to 12 volts and it screams. It doesn't hurt the motor at all.
What kind of chrome paint do you like?
That I can't even pronounce it. It begins with an M, Metlo or something like that.
No, Molotov.
Yeah, whatever.
It looked great on camera. I assume it looks good in person.
Yeah, I started on the, those are rosin printed wheels. I tried to duplicate the old Krager Super Sport. And what I've done with those is I found out that chrome pen, you can get that, but you can also get a refill to fill the pens. And I found out that goes through an airbrush real nice. So those are in fact airbrushed.
That's good info. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's about it from this side.
Awesome.
You told you're gonna drive digital. What kind of digital?
Right now I'm leaning to, I've got the Carrera set up. And I'll probably be going as far as the application is concerned, the RCS 64. I'll probably be using that. But for my drag strips, I'm using the race coordinator. And in fact, I just putting the final touches on it now. I don't know if you can see it or not. But this, I developed the left hand and right hand LED displays that will be at the end of the tracks. And they will display the elapsed time and the miles per hour for each lane. There we go. So I got to do some final software on it, and that'll be ready to install.
Isn't it cool to have a slot car drag racer finally in the chat?
Not a whole lot of them in the chat, that's for sure. So
no.
I'll have to say, yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, it is. How long is your drag track?
Actually, when you get right down to it, including the shutdown area, is 40 feet. But on the HO, I'm running a scale 1/4 mile, and on the 143rd, I'm running 1,000 foot.
So.
And the HO is a commercial unit. It's the max track, whereas the 143rd, I routed that myself with recessed braid. And on the 143rd, I've got 2 variable power supplies that will go from 0 to 30 volts, and each of them will put out as much as 20 amps. So I could do some welding if I have to.
Sure.
I mean, drag cars are big amp pullers because you got to put all the power down right away, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm with the 132nd and the 124th, which I have not gotten into, that is some serious stuff and high dollar. But the HO and the 143rd, the 143rd in particular, I've got a couple cars there that when you launch them off, they're pulling about 4 amps, which is, it's pretty light.
People think that 132 scale cars at 2 amps per lane is enough.
Yeah. But that's it. I'm enthusiastic as far as I've got a lot of 132nd cars that I've collected over the years, but I'm really enthusiastic to getting back into that size and playing with the digital. Again, with my background, I've already designed and programmed up decoders for the Carrera. And I've got some pretty tiny ones. They're just a little bit bigger than postage stamps.
Nice. That's something Carrera users could certainly appreciate.
Hey, quick question for you guys. Is there any sort of tool, talking about power draw and everything, is there any sort of tool where you'd pop a car on the track, let it go around the track and measure the power levels as it went to be able to track down basically, dead spots in the track? I don't know if that's something we can maybe address down the line, or if anybody has any input on that. Just curious. I was just thinking that'd be a cool device.
I have a tool.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you get to the point where that matters, you start to feel it. So as you're driving the car around and you jam it and it's not jumping, then there's power loss there and it needs a jumper or better connections.
I picked one of these up off of eBay, and that gives you a real good idea of your current around the track. If you have a dead spot, it has 3 lights. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it has a red, green, and a yellow.
How does that show when you have low current?
When you go by, one of the lights will drop out if you're not getting enough current, or it will flicker.
Okay, so it's got some kind of load inside it?
I guess.
What would somebody look for to find that?
Go on 130 scale track.
I couldn't get enough information out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much need to have something for power loss. That's usually fairly obvious. Your car doesn't go. For power reduction, it's a little bit trickier because you need something with a load so that you can actually see that it's not able to pull, what it needs. And so that's why most of us just say, okay, let's drive a car, like a magnet car, especially, something that requires a good amount of power. So a hot motor or a hot motor and a magnet or whatever, drive it around. And if it doesn't jump as fast off the straightaway over there as it does right where your power is coming into the track, then you need to do something.
Right.
Go ahead, Alan.
Bill, if for clarification, I think what you're looking for is to monitor the current draw as the car's going around the track. Is that correct?
Well, essentially the I guess the effort there, or what I'm thinking is, so I recently ran across this with the analog cars where they just it started bogging down, and I went over and I kind of adjusted the track by hand a little bit, and that took care of it, kind of. But realistically, when I made all of the changes, it was so minute that I'd really love to know exactly what it was. But beats that out of me what fixed it. But within a space of about 2-3 feet, somewhere in there I fixed it. But I'd love to have a tool where I could really drill down, because I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm an old tech, so you want to find the problem and fix it.
There's two ways of doing it. There is two ways of doing it, but both of them are very involved and unfortunately expensive. The one way is to section your track out, and in each section put a current detector, and that in turn it goes over to an ammeter. So as the car goes from section to section to section, you can get a readout as to what the current draw is. The other way is that you can go ahead, and again, it's involved, it's expensive, but it gets into the wonderful world of wireless, where what you do there is you put a current detector in the car, and then it wirelessly sends information back to your computer. So it's a real-time evolution. As the car is going around the track, you can actually watch the current draw going up and down.
Well, and that's kind of what was popping through my head there. And so just hoping somebody had come out with that.
Yeah, one of our guys built a car with the readout on the roof, and you could watch it while it was doing laps.
Yeah, that's another option you can do, but you got to be fast and chase the car around to get to read out on it. But it's doable. It's doable.
I mean, there's two things at play here. There's the desire to have a track that doesn't have power drops, and then there's the desire to just get into the dirty nitty gritty and have some fun with all kinds of expensive electronics and things like that.
This might be a little bit of both.
I think you're in a little bit of both, but for the rest of us who would rather just have a functional track in the least expensive and quickest way, though not necessarily labor intensive, is to install lots and lots of power taps.
Lots of jumpers, yes.
My track's only 54 feet. It has 9 power taps, and each power tapped section of track, each track is soldered to the next one. So there's 9 sectors of my track. Every piece is soldered together, and every sector has its own power tap. It is effectively continuous wire from the power supply to every rail on the track. That was a whole lot of work, but I never have any power drops anywhere, no matter what I run. So it was worth it, and it was inexpensive, but labor intensive.
Yeah, some work's no big deal. That's all right. Okay, thanks for the tips, guys.
Yeah, I could suggest a couple of.
You can see my screen.
Okay, hold on, Henry. Let me zoom in on that here. Go ahead, Henry.
I have a volt ampere meters from China Crab for lane 1 and lane 2.
Yeah, but that only shows what the total draw is as multiple cars are going around. It doesn't show how much amperage each particular section of your track has as the car.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
if you have a low power spot, the only way you're detecting that is because your cars are not getting the power that you expect them to get at that.
Correct.
Yeah. Wayne had something to say. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, one of the simple techniques I like to employ is to drive a car very, very slowly on a fixed throttle and just watch its pace. And if that pace drops, then there's a power pickup issue just there that you could investigate. That's the easiest method.
Yes.
And another method that I like to use with sectional track is to brake the track immediately before the power input track, and then start the same process with the car going around the track very, very slowly to see whether it completes the lap with the broken track. And if it completes the lap, if it stops anywhere around the lap, then that's where your brake is. But if it completes the lap, then you know you've got a full circuit, and then you close the track and you've got a full circuit in both directions.
There's one other way that I'm going back to the model railroading days. Your locomotives have got headlights in them as a rule. So if you take a given car, put a light bulb in it, and then run it around at a given voltage, but turn the lights off in the room. And wherever that light bulb dims, you got a drop in current.
It's like chasing down a bad alternator.
Oh yeah,
and, cranking up the radio. All right, that makes sense.
Old school.
Yep,
it works.
Yep.
It works.
All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack there too much. I just it popped in my brain, and I was sure it was going to drop. So thank you guys.
That's fine.
Iceman, I don't think it's one we've covered before, is it?
I don't think we've gotten too much into it. No, I mean we talk about just power delivery every once in a while, but yeah. Finding exactly where the power is disappearing can be tricky, especially when, I mean, Wayne's technique will find a break, right? A loss of power, but when the car goes all the way around, that doesn't mean it's getting the power it needs all the way around, right?
Yeah, I agree, but I don't ever try and chase don't ever try and monitor current with a digital meter, because it just doesn't refresh fast enough. An analog needle is far, far better for that, isn't it?
Incorporate Wayne's technique in troubleshooting as well. You go very, very slow, just barely get the car to go around the track, and if it starts sputtering, etc., that's where your voltage drops are occurring.
Yeah, and it depends on what kind of track as to what the best course of action is. Some track like Scalextric Classic and Sport Track have these tabs under the rails that hold the rails to the track that loosen up at the joins. When you're wiggling the joins to take them apart and put them back together, those get loosened up. So that's the most common issue with Scalextric track, but some other tracks might have other issues, and there's always oxidation to consider, and yeah, Dewan knows all about oxidation. Iceman, you had your hand up earlier. Was that just to talk to Henry about decals, or did you have something else you wanted to talk about?
No, Greg, I was a little slow on the uptake getting to Henry, so I left a little note there. So yeah, and Henry, I can print white. I have an Alps printer, so if you need any help, just give me an email. And this is John McKenzie. I can help you out there if you want. So just let me know.
Iceman is well known in my circle of friends for his excellent decals that he'd been doing for quite a while. And it sounds like you're willing to do a little bit here and there again.
Yes. So if you need some help, just let me know.
Good deal. Awesome. So if anybody needs decals that they're having a hard time finding, Iceman might be your man.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, that was all for now, Greg. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Iceman.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Good things. All right, Dennis, you've got your virtual hand up.
Yeah, actually, I've just got questions today.
Okay.
The first question is it just me, or does Dewan look like he's just come off the set of Star Trek today?
Right, I'm gonna spotlight him here. Oh no, it's the Nike. It looks like a Star Trek badge.
Yeah.
Close
Captain
enough.
Clark.
Yeah, Dennis, thankfully, if he has, he's not a red shirt. Those guys never lasted an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he's medical. He's fine.
live long and prosper, my friend. And then the other question was for Alan. He showed us those really pretty Mark IV prints that he's doing, and I wanted to ask him if he's doing all the print files and the CAD work himself.
Some I have and some I have not. Okay, I've got a very good friend that will start off a lot of it for me, and then I'll go ahead and finish it up.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I'm doing a good percentage of it. I use a mix of things, either SolidWorks or Fusion 360 or Blender.
Okay, excellent. Very cool. Good to see old engineers still working their magic.
Yeah, and hopefully Alan comes on more often. I'm sure we can pick his brain about a lot of things.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I'm down to 2 brain cells, guys, so look out.
Well, thank you for coming at least today. If not,
yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Hey, somebody asked where I got that voltage tester.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can look on eBay under slot car track voltage, and there's 2 different kinds. There's the kind I have that tests, I think it's 5, 7, and 9, or 5, 9, and 12 volt. And then there's a sliding one that actually fits in the groove that you can slide around, and it's called Bob's HO slot car tester. But it will work in a regular track. So if you go to eBay, you can see those.
Nice.
Okay, I'm bringing one up here. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually bought the one that you had on displayed.
That looks like the one that he had. Is that is that what you got, John? Yeah. 124, 132,
Okay.
143.
Thank you.
Track voltage tester new. Where is their description? There we go. Voltage tester based on those, blah, blah, blah. Light up 5 to 9 volts, 9 to 12 volts, and 12 plus.
Yeah, I didn't get much out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't give you much as far as it would tell you voltage in a simple way, but not current. And current is just hard to figure. That's why we had such a long discussion about it, trying to figure out
But
current.
unless you've got something to draw, you're not going to get current anyway. So you need a load. But what that it depends on how much load they've put into that, right? If there's enough of a resistance inside that little machine, meaning a low resistance like an ohm or 2, then it's going to draw on 12 volts. It's going to draw quite a lot of current. Right. And if the connections are not good enough to pass that current, then the voltage is going to drop.
Yeah.
So that's, it just depends on how much they've put in there. If it's just a pure voltmeter, meaning they've got a high, like 1,000 ohm inside there or something like that, then you're not going to see it as much.
Yeah, it looks to me there's a low, medium, and a high there. So I'm assuming it's got multiple resistors in there.
No, it'll have a single resistor inside it, but it will have, but it has some like a kind of circuitry just to light up particular LEDs dependent on the voltage that's coming through.
It might just be LEDs that require a certain number of volts to light up. And so when it gets
that's also possible.
Right.
Oh, I'd pull my hair out if I saw that under there.
Well, if it's but the point is, Greg, if it's just LEDs, then if you've got 12 volts there, then all three are going to light. All three,
correct,
are going to light up. Is that what it does, John?
Right. In other words, if you have voltage all the way around at your 12 volts, all three will be on. If you have a fall off, you'll start getting maybe just the green and the yellow one. And if you have a real bad fall off, it's just the green one. And so you can find the spots, the dead spots in your track that way.
Raise your virtual hand if you'd like John to open his up and show us around inside.
That's what I was just going to say. If John wants to open it just to see what's in it.
Where's your hammer? Go get your hammer.
I was going to say, unless it's got a screw or pop off back, if it's glued shut, then no, obviously not. But it looks like 3D printed, so it's probably glued shut.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just have to say it's nice that Henri and Bill are on the same team there with their hats.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you know.
All right. So I think we're done with show and tell. Does anybody else have anything they want to show or tell? If not, we'll go on to Club Corner. Anybody got any club activities? Okay, Dewan is raising his hand and John Weber waved his hand. Is that for show and tell things, Dewan or John? Okay, John Weber, go ahead, and then we'll get to Dewan.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
This is just a little addendum to that gobbledygook I gave you last week about the track cushions.
Oh yeah, okay.
Tire things. Okay, so I mentioned that I cut these. We were talking primarily to Bill. Bill was asking the question about it. I cut these from these things.
Yep.
Okay, cushion like that. This cost $1.25. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen those out there. Awesome.
Here's one that's had a few popped out. Okay, that at the drill press and I tried several different methods. Drill press.
That's the Swiss version.
Swiss version,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely neutral.
Aren't those sold as garden kneeling pads or something for gardening?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then this is one of the bits. I tried hole saws, and they just tear this stuff up. They just really mangle it pretty badly. But I found these on eBay very inexpensively, and they have some sort of a diamond dust stuff deposited on them, and they work really good. They're designed for cutting glass, punching holes through glass, terracotta, ceramics, that sort of thing. And I got like 12. There were 12 of these bits of various sizes for $10. So, it was a pretty cool deal. And anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weber. So basically, get some cheap gardening kneel pads / stadium butt pads, and then some ceramic hole bits, and then cut using your drill press.
The drill press or a drill. You could just use a drill.
Yeah, whatever works best for you. How was the dust from using those bits on that stuff? Did you feel like you needed a respirator?
It wasn't that bad. I did that in my outbuilding, so it wasn't a big deal. I wouldn't do it inside the house, that's for sure, to control that dust.
Sounds like a plan. All right, and Mr. Clark, what you got today?
I just want to report back on the inox as a potential cleaner. What I really got out of inox, again, it was more of a lubricant, and the burgundy scouring pad, as I call it, 3M burgundy pad itself, it's like rubberized. It's designed so that it's soft enough so that it doesn't scratch or scour the plastic, but it has enough bite, the tarnish and rust and things like that. So the inox really acted as somewhat of a lubricant, and it wasn't chemically reacting to the tarnish any better, but it's still clean. It was just really cleaning more or less because of the burgundy scouring pad more so, and it was just lubricated, and that it didn't speed up the process. Is the bottom line.
So it didn't help like Deoxit did.
That's correct.
It didn't hurt.
No, it didn't hurt. It didn't stop it from cleaning as it would normally clean. It just made it a lot smoother.
What did you used to use before the deoxit? Just water or nothing at all?
I did it completely dry.
Dry, okay.
Yeah. So that was one thing.
Deoxit wins. I'm okay being disappointed.
There was a YouTube video that came out, and I'm going to share. I'll send you the link. But it had a concept that I wasn't aware of. Maybe you guys may be more knowledgeable of it. It talked about this gentleman that created a track that allowed more than one car to ride on the track simultaneously in an analog mode. And
probably AC2 car.
Yes, That's
Yes.
exactly what it was. AC2. Okay, so you are aware of this. Okay, so it caught my eye, and I was pretty intrigued by it, and it was quite interesting, and I'll just leave it at that.
I think it's really clever stuff. I mean, it's been around for a long time. It's been used in sets for off and on for years. What I think is really cool, I call it the poor man's digital because it allows more than one car in the same lane at the same time, but it's limited to 2 cars per lane, and they can only swap between 2 cars in that one lane. But I've seen some pretty impressive AC2 car tracks. Like I forget what the name of the track is, but this one, it's just a huge landscaped thing with like. That's the one you're thinking of.
That's what I was looking at.
Go ahead and put the link in the chat, and I'll remember to put it in there. What do you got there, Dennis?
No, it's just I've seen that too, but I remember that I showed you guys a little parking lot track that I made quite a while back, a little 6x4 thing. One of my very first times I was on the Zoom call, and that actually had that uses that same AC2 car concept.
I especially like it when people do an IROC, like actual International Race of Champions style stadium track, where it's literally just one lane, but they do it AC2 car where they have the parallel cars and they're driving around and doing it just like the International Race of Champions. I think
that's how mine works.
Oh, you have it so it comes parallel at one point?
Yeah. You guys have forgotten about it. I'm just.
I remember you showing the track, but I didn't remember the layout of it in my head.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the photos, and then I'll put them up.
Just kind of a basic background for people who don't know what AC2 car is. It's very simple, actually. It uses AC instead of DC, and you put a diode in one controller that's on one rail and a diode in the other controller that's on the other rail. And the cars have the matching diode. So basically each car that shares those 2 rails is only paying attention to half of the AC signal, thereby giving it a partial AC. So it actually is really nice to control. I've heard, I haven't tried it myself, but the cars aren't twitchy, and they have nice coasting instead of hard brakes and stuff like that. I've heard that it's a pleasure to drive AC2 car.
As long as it's not the Eldon Selectronic set, which tried to do that and didn't work.
That was one of them that failed, apparently.
Yeah, that was my first slot car set. It was.
All right, so I found
Merry
mine.
Christmas disappointment. Sorry.
Sorry for that, John. Go ahead, Dennis.
All right, so here's the track.
Okay, yeah.
Which I laid out like a parking lot, gymkhana, but it's only one lane.
Would you stop? Sorry, talking to my dog. Go ahead, Dennis. Sorry, I was talking to my dog.
Oh, okay. Oh, would you stop? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's only one lane. It has a crossover back here in the middle, and so that allows you, the way that I've wired it up, I wired it with AC, so that when I'm running an AC, there are 2 controllers, one hooked up in each of these corners, and the cars have the diodes, and the controllers don't have the diodes. The diodes are actually underneath the controller connections. But I've also made it so that I can actually use it as a DC, so that I just run one car at a time. I just change out the power supply and hook up one controller at one end. Let me stop that share and start another one, because I have that little video that shows how they run together. It may take a little bit of time to load.
Hey Dennis, a nice bit of scenery for that, particularly in the UK, would be a McDonald's.
What did you do?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Silly goose.
Yeah, I'm not quite. Oh, hang on. This thing's run already once. So hold on a moment. Here we go. Let's try that again. There you go. So the cars travel different distances in the half of each lane. So they don't actually, if they're driven properly, they don't actually meet up at the the crossover point which was right in front of where I was driving. I was actually driving these two on DC at the time, just putting a little bit of power in so that they ran around. But actually it works quite well on AC that you've got two cars that you can run on that single lane.
It's bigger than I thought it was. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's 6x4, that piece, and it comes apart in two pieces, and I store it here in my garage.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing, Dennis. And DeJuan, did that cover all the bases for you, or did you have anything else? You're good to go? All right.
Let me ask you a question about DC cars. Can you run, like on a Carrera track, can you run more than one car in a track without hurting it? Does that mess up the
put multiple cars in the same lane and drive them with one controller?
Right.
Nah, people do that all the time, don't we, boys?
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. As long as you've got a power supply that can provide enough amperage.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, John, I call that Saturday night.
Yeah, get ready for your hand controller to start smelling and smoking.
Well,
yeah, depending on what kind of controller you've got, that might be an issue.
Well, I use a wireless, so
okay.
Probably not an issue then.
Yeah, if nobody else wants to play with us, we'll play with ourselves, right?
And get down low and watch the cars from down low, right?
Of course. We all did that. Some of us still do it every now
I was
and
gonna say, what do you mean did? There's no past tense.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. I mean, it's never too late to have a happy childhood.
All right, Alan has more show and tell.
Just came off the printer.
Oh, look at that.
Very
wow,
nice.
Look at that.
That's very nice.
That took 4 hours to print.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Resin printers are relatively quick. Even the slow ones are relatively quick.
That's really nice.
That's the 1/32 size.
Uh-huh.
And is that raised and angled so that it fits in your print bed, or what?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Is that one raised and angled so that it fits into a relatively small print bed, or is there another reason?
Well, it's a combination of both. Number one, to get it into the respective bed that I was using. But the other thing is, if you put it flat, then what happens, even in the rosin world, each layer starts to show up, and you can see that in the print. Whereas if you angle it, you won't get those layer lines. It comes out nice and smooth.
Yeah, basically, you want to, depending on the geometry of the model that you're printing, you want to try to choose the optimum angle, both for support reasons, so that it doesn't come away during the printing process, but also to reduce the appearance of the layer lines. Because if you have a surface that's more or less parallel to the print surface, especially like the hood or the roof of a car, you're going to see those rings of layers. Even though the layers are really thin, you're still going to see them. So you tilt it to avoid that.
After quite a bit of experimentation, what I have found out is that that's a 22-degree angle. And then in addition to that, the lowest point right here, I've got it raised up 5 millimeters. I have found out that if I had it less than 5 millimeters, that it would actually pull away from the bed. So those are the optimum settings that I'm having very good success with.
Well, Alan, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I see you got some smooth on product behind you. You make a great mold.
They work great. And I have moved over to something that I have found out that's even better. It's a smooth on product, but I was using the traditional, what do they call it? Mod 25 or 30 or whatever. And I moved over to using the, I can't even pronounce it, Vitex, the same stuff that you make the tires out of.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh gosh, Vita. It's called VitaFlex.
VitaFlex. I'm making my molds out of that now.
Yeah, if you make urethane molds, yeah, no, urethanes are great, and that way, They're a wee bit more flexible, but you can mold in either urethane or silicone, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, and I'm finding out the durability and the longevity of the mold seems to
Are you
be,
vacuuming your Vitaflex when you mix the part A and part B?
yes,
Yeah, that helps. The other advantage of using Vitaflex is that you don't have to do it by weight. You can do it by volume.
by volume. Yeah, little bit more expensive, but I think
No,
it's worth it.
Works
I think
great.
it's
Sorry,
worth
we have to wait up for the rest of the class. Okay, sorry about that, folks.
Alan, which printer you use for resin?
What kind of resin do you use?
Brand?
Uh,
No, the brand of the printer.
I'm basically using, I can't remember what the names of them are, or the
I think you actually-
pronunciation.
I was wrong. He wanted to know what kind of printer you have.
Oh, the printers? Okay.
The resin printer.
I've got the, what the heck is it? You know, the Anycubic.
Yeah, I know. I have them.
Okay.
I have one.
I've got, I can't remember what the designation is, but it's the large one,
Yeah, I know.
Mega 10 or something like that.
So Alan, what do you start with? Do you have a mold? Do you have a drawings? How does it work? I'm a novice in this whole print thing.
As far as the,
Like the car you just held up.
okay, well, that was designed on, where the heck is it? I can't find it right now. Fusion 360 or SolidWorks.
Okay.
Which is a piece of software.
Okay.
And you do nothing more than you design, you know, your car in that. And then from there, at least the next step that I do is I save it as an STL file. And for the life of me, Greg, you may be able to know what the hell does STL stand for? I can never remember.
Stereolithograph.
Yeah, stereolithography, something.
Yeah. And then from there, I run it over and I put it through a repair application. And I use Mexmisser for that. And that, I don't know, again, all that's involved in that, but if there's any holes or this or that or whatever, that's all repaired. And then from there, I put it into the slicer, and that's what develops the code for the printer itself. I was using photon slicer up until about maybe four months ago. And I moved over to Lychee.
To Lychee, yeah.
Lychee, yeah. And I absolutely love it. To me,
Yeah,
it was just as
great.
different as night and day.
Yeah, correct.
Alan, did you have a background in CAD work, or did you just teach it to yourself or watch videos?
I actually started maybe about, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, cold turkey.
That's amazing.
I never messed with it. Now I do have a laser printer or a laser cutter. So I have a little bit of experience as far as, you know, laying things out and the G code and so forth and so on. But I actually learned on that. But I've never messed with CAD or these printers up until about 4 years ago.
I'm sure it's not as complex as a military aircraft, though, right?
No. I've got, you know, background in hardware when it came to the research and development of systems. But now the software, good God. You know, anything past a 1 and 0, I'm confused. It's been fun. And again, it's, you know, a lot of people, I've said this before, you know, you use the magic word printer or software and they vacate the room. Hey, at my age, if I can learn this stuff, believe me, anybody can. The words are scary. And fortunately enough, there's a lot of help out there. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good.
It's a journey.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's a learning process, and you learn quite quickly who you can go to for the help as far as the reliability is concerned. Wish I could remember the one gentleman's name, but he has a host of videos that he does for Fusion 360. And I think his first name is Liars, Liars. And he's been a godsend. He's got fantastic print videos, but you can also email him and he'll set up a Zoom meeting with you or whatever the case may be and lead you on with it.
Yeah,
I encourage people that if you haven't tried it, the printers themselves have come down in price remarkably. So it's again, it's a journey, but it's a fun one.
The warning that I give people, because like you just said, it's very affordable compared to just a few years ago for both resin and filament printing to get into, but you should consider it a hobby. At first consider it a hobby. Once you've gotten past all of the hurdles, then it can be a tool for your other hobbies. But at first, it is a hobby in and of itself.
Yeah. Now, as far as software is concerned, I'm a big advocate of the Fusion 360. Primarily, it's relatively easy to learn, but they have a what I guess it's called a free subscription, so you don't have to buy it. Then there's SolidWorks, which I got into, and that is very sophisticated, and that cost an arm and a leg. That was almost $3,800 for the software package that I got on that. But it will run my printers, it'll run my lasers, and I can go ahead and I can design, say, like this, the GT40. I can do a 3D on that, and then I can push a button, and it will actually give me the 3 different views printed out like old time mechanical drawings. So it can take mechanical drawings in and actually put them into a 3D view. Yeah, it's wild, but it's quite expensive.
Yep, I learned from him quite a bit.
There's Mr. Liars. He's been, like I said, he's been so helpful, at least to
Lars,
me.
yeah. Lars, not liars.
Lars Christensen.
Liars?
No, just Lars, no I.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's very helpful.
These days, you can pretty much learn anything from YouTube tutorials. All about printers, all about resin printers, filament printers, 3D modeling.
The only thing I can caution, and I learned the hard way, and it was a sense of frustration to me. I would sit and I would watch a video, and the guy would say, okay, now the next thing you do is you go up here to the upper left-hand corner and you click and you do this. And then he does 4 more steps, 6 more moves of the mouse, doesn't explain what the hell he did or why he did it.
Correct.
You got to be careful. And I'm the type of guy, I got to go step by step by step.
Me too.
What I found frustrating was, especially with Fusion 360 tutorials, is that the software continues to develop, right? So a lot of the tutorials aren't helpful because they're telling you to use a function that's not there anymore because
or they moved the damn thing on you.
Yeah, they either moved it or that function is no longer necessary because they created something new that's better in some way. So you're like learning how to do it the hard way, and you don't need to do it anymore because now there's an easy way. You just need to. So when you're searching for tutorials on things on YouTube, go to the filter and sort by date so that you look at the most recent result of whatever you're looking for a tutorial on.
And if you can't find it, push a button anyway, because you can't break the damn things.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't break it.
They're hard
So
to
you
break.
waste a little bit of rosin. Who cares?
Yep. All right, I think we're ready to do some club cornering. Does anybody have any club activities? Are you leaving, Henry, or do you want to talk about your club activities?
No, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so I think I have to go to bed.
Okay, good night, Henry. Does
Bye-bye.
anybody-
Likely story.
Does
I
anybody
see the rest
have
on
any,
YouTube.
does
You
anybody
don't have a bed in your slot room?
Almost.
I do.
Let's save the personal chat for afterwards. Does anybody have any club activity they want to talk about? Frank or Janice?
No, actually
Garrett?
not.
Okay.
And I've got to get going. I've got to get a grandson to soccer. So you guys have a good rest of the chat, and I'll watch it later.
Awesome. All right. See you, Frank.
Take
Anybody
care,
else
guys.
leaving that wants to say goodbye? All right. So
I guess we could talk about the upcoming race at Electric Dreams.
Yeah.
There's one coming up Saturday. Electric Dreams are now at the point where they're going to be running a race meeting every second Saturday of the month. And so this is coming up now. They've set up 10 different classes of cars, and this weekend they'll be running Can-Am. They have two classes in Can-Am. They have a Can-Am Pro and a Can-Am Light. The Light is intended for newbies and inexperienced drivers and beginners and youngsters. So it allows magnets. The Can-Am Pro is a non-magnet class. Everything is going to be a single specified motor. So regardless of what car you have, you need to put an NSR, I think it's 5241 or 3241 or whatever the number is, I don't remember. So they try to even things out that way. But it's pretty neat class. And I think there'll probably be 20 guys there. I know that Jim Rose, who's not on the call today, and a couple of the guys that race with him up in Northern California are coming down for it. So if anybody wants to be at Electric Dreams to race it or to watch it, Saturday is the day.
Jim's probably working on his tires right now.
Yeah,
he's probably in the car. He may well already be here. I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow when I go to the store.
Is there an easy way to find the race event timings and specifications?
Yes, if you go to the Electric Dreams website, then in the banner across the top to the very right-hand side, there's a link that says races. And the races link is the one that will show you exactly. It has the whole schedule of which classes are running which month. And it has a PDF, downloadable PDF with all the rules in it. It looks pretty nice.
Are they planning on live streaming it? Well?
Yeah, I think so. They did last month, so I would assume that they'll live stream again. We have 4 or 5 cameras set up, so you get a fairly good different views of the track as the racing's going on. It actually, I watched it last time out. It was pretty good.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How do you guys set up your races? 'Cause I'm looking at your page now, electricdreams.com/races, Can-Am Pro. It says both classes race together following qualifying results. So just like a newbie like me shows up one day and has the right cars, I assume you have to bring your own cars.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Do I race a qualifying race? Do I just I get seated? Can you tell me a little about how you guys do this?
Everybody runs qualifying. We run a minute on yellow lane each.
And you take
running
the
one
best
at a time.
Or okay.
For a single best lap time.
Okay.
And then we'll rank everybody according to that. And then we will usually what we'll do then is we'll split them. It's a 6-lane track, right? So we'll split as close as we can to multiple races
6,
of
12,
6 in
18.
Yeah, 1 to 6, 7 to 12, 13 to 18, etc.
Okay.
Right. For example, if you had let's say you had only 13 guys, you would run probably a 6-man top A final, and you'd run a 7-man round robin B final, where everybody still runs 6 heats, but it takes 7 heats to finish the race because you rotate in and out. And then you can usually win from any main, right? You could be running, you could have maybe not qualified terribly well, but run a really good race and have greater total laps than the guys who run in a main above you, and you would beat those guys based on your lap time and your total laps.
So you're racing for total laps when you guys
You're racing for total laps, yeah.
total laps, whoever gets the most. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah. And then I assume the track doesn't stop. I mean, you hit a call, but people will marshal for you.
Yeah,
There's no
if you're,
stopping
if
unless
you're
there's a huge
racing in the
accident.
if you're racing in the B group, then if there's 2 groups, for example, let's say there's 12 guys and there's 2 groups, or let's say there's 18 and there's 3 groups, right? When the 3rd group is racing, the 1st group will be turn marshal. When the 2nd group is racing, the 3rd group will turn marshal, and when the 1st group is racing, then the 2nd group turn marshals. And there are pre-numbered positions, 6 pre-numbered positions around the track, and each racer out of a main is assigned one of those positions, and so that becomes your position to turn marshal. There's always a race director, and so if there are cars on the floor or out of reach, then the race director will call track and switch the power off until the car is retrieved.
Do you guys do tech inspections beforehand?
Yes.
Or okay,
Yeah,
full
beforehand.
inspection, everything.
We'll do a tech inspection beforehand, which is generally just to make sure visually that everything is correct to the rules. We do have a proviso that we could tear down any of the top 3 cars at the end if there's some feeling that the car is not.
If something's amiss, it's like 5 laps ahead of everybody. You might want to
Well,
inspect it a little
yeah.
closer. Or Jim Rose, you might want to find that Jim Rose guy.
Yeah,
Inspect his
yeah.
a little bit closer. All right. I don't mean to ask any questions. I just like to hear how other people around the country race, because I think everybody's
yeah.
doing something a little different. And I'd like to find some common ground that we all kind of share. And
that's generally the way we do it. There you can win from any main. The other thing that we might do sometimes is to use a move up where, let's say you have for shits and giggles, you have 15 guys there, and we may only put, say, 4 guys into, after qualifying, the top 4 go straight into the A, the next 6 go straight into the B, the last 5 go into the C, say 4 and 4, 8, and then you'd run a 7-man round robin for the C, and then 2 guys would move up from one to the next. If the guy who wins the lower main, and the guy who comes second would move up to the next higher main.
to use
So
the
you
step
have
up
a-
races.
like a
where
ladder.
the- How's that work out for you guys?
We haven't done that yet at Electric Dreams. I mean, that's pretty common in 1/24 scale racing, and usually the only issue there is if you're the guy that's moving up, it gets tiring, and you use a lot of tires and motor, but it works fine. I've seen guys move up, and I've done it myself, move up 2 or 3 mains at a time because you just had a really lousy qualifier.
Alan, did you have any questions, or did Jeremy's conversation answer it already?
I did answer. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions for Dennis and Electric Dreams race?
So I want to make sure I understand. You have a time, and it's the number of laps then that wins. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will run when we run the main event, or when we run the races, it'll be 3 minutes on each lane.
Right.
And so each driver drives 3 minutes on each lane.
And then you
And
mark
you-
yourself. Yeah.
and you change your car over, and the computer holds all those totals, and then it'll compare what you did in your main with what guys did in mains before you or after you, and rank everybody according to the totals that they've done.
What are you
We
using for a tiebreaker?
we use the Lapmaster system that Karsten Gruneman, the guy who's been on this chat a couple of times from Denmark. We use his software, and it handles all of this stuff very easily.
What are you using for tiebreakers? Or is it actual, are you marking anything on the track where the car was?
If there are tiebreakers, you would know that at the end of a heat or at the end of a race, and you would mark them. But on that master, it actually calculates a theoretical portion of the final lap. But you can always check that and readjust that if need be. So you run through that and check and make sure that what the software is showing at the end of a race is roughly equivalent to what's happening on the track, which it usually is, unless there's been people deslotting in the last, on the very last lap. Then they would have maybe a little less than the program is calculating.
Yeah, because it can basically say he's getting an average number, an average lap time, and the
Yeah.
track is yay long, so he would have completed this much of the lap if he
Of
had
the
not.
lap, yeah.
Yeah.
But we have divided the lap up into 50 sections or whatever it is, so you can adjust that.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, Michael, it's your turn. What's happening in your club?
We had an interesting situation come up. I set up a new set of cars for Group C, and I actually gave the other two guys a car that I had that I didn't like the livery on, so I wanted to buy another one. So they got a couple of the cars that I had lying around, but I set them up, and I set them up at the temp in the garage was 64 degrees. And I set them up. They had really good traction. They were all pretty even. And however, by the time we got around to that set of cars, the temperature in the room had gone up 10 degrees. And it just screwed the setup unbelievably with too much traction lifting out of the slot. And I couldn't correct it in a big hurry. It was really kind of a nightmare and not much fun from for that reason. So I'm going to make sure I've got enough ventilation to keep it down so I use a setup temp, something that I hadn't taken into consideration before. With urethane tires, it's not an issue, but with rubber tires, it's definitely an issue. And the tires I was using with the G25 slottets. So that just gives you an idea. It also screwed with the AS25s. We did a set of Formula One with the new Scale Auto AS25 tires on the Formula One cars. And well, a bit of a show and tell. It's one of these. I did the decals on this one. So I got, and as I said earlier, I will never ever do this again. It is way too much work.
It looked pretty good.
For an unmodeler like me. It's just forget it. I race them. I don't like to build them. So,
now,
but
Michael, did any of those cars have your suspension that you were talking about? Would that have made an issue? Or?
The Formula Ones don't. The other car, the Group C cars, I hadn't gotten to doing the suspension yet because I don't have enough of the 10 millimeter long screws that will go through a slotted pod. I'm looking, I can use the slotted suspension screws, but they're $4 that you end up using 2 screws for that style of suspension. So I'm looking for another source for I think it's a 1.9 millimeter screw that goes through the slotted holes. You can bore them out too, but then you're committed to making that suspension work. Or I suppose you could put a nut on top of it if you wanted to do the regular style. And I'm sort of assessing how that works. It works great on the Thunder slots. The jury's still out on whether the compression foam pieces for suspension works on Slottits or not. We'll see. It did work well on the Group Cs, but the other guys had problems enough, and I won the Group C easily. So mine had that on it, and the other ones did not. I didn't have time to do it, but they were close enough anyway that it wouldn't have made that much difference with good driving. So the jury's still out. I still think it works. It's worth pursuing as a technique to tune the car for scale electric only. And one thing I might add for anybody listening, I wish that in the forums that people would right off the bat define what track they're using, what voltage they're using, and the surface, of course, and whether it's painted or what, because you can give advice, but it's useless if they don't run on the same track that you do. I mean, someone that has a urethane wood track is not going to have the same traction capabilities that Scale Electric does, or Carrera does, or Ninco, or Polycar, any of them. It's all different. So you want to try and maintain the advice that you're giving for tuning, especially for specific things for the kind of track that you're using.
Yeah,
So,
you're right, because context is everything, right?
yeah, it is.
You mentioned those AS25s. How did those work? Because I don't know anybody who's had any.
Well, they had the same problem. They're similar to the G25 Slottits. They do have great traction, but once the temperature goes up, you get too much traction, then it kind of mucks up the setup. So at least on my track, I don't know whether they would be more or less affected by temperature on other track surfaces.
I mean,
but it seems to be a good tire.
The easy way to tune up that kind of situation is just go ahead and roll that car on the infield a little bit.
We did. We did.
Maybe down on the floor.
One of the things is one of the guys ran the thing off into the grass, and my grass that I put in between there has enough little pieces on it that it dirtied the tires, and he had a better time after that. So it was, yeah, that was it.
A little bit of traction reduction helps in some situations.
Yeah.
The other thing that popped into my head when you first said that is screwing in the pod screws, tightening up so they're not. So
yeah, we tried that first.
Yeah. That
was the first thing. So.
And it's a tough track. It's a technical track.
Yeah.
So.
It is. There's only a few turns that have the same radius.
Yeah, and only one long straightaway. Pretty much the rest of it is broken up little shorts and lines and things.
Yeah. The new kink that we installed that you set up. Oh, yes. That Garth made that the new logo for the track.
For your track?
Yeah. Yeah. So
come see the three amigos. Yes, tres hombres, thrills, chills, and spills, heartaches, heart attacks, and broken wings. I think that's
new. He hasn't showed me that one yet.
I think that's why he's showing it now.
Yeah.
It sounds like a Mr. album.
Yeah, really. I've got a little sticker that I got from Road America when I was there last time. This is "Get Your Life on Track." I want to put one of those up there too, along with the one I've got which is "Respect the Kink."
Yeah.
There's another one in there. And boy, I heard about that again this week.
Hey, Mike, that's in your email, by the way.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked at it yet. Thanks.
All right, well, you can go ahead and print that off and stick it on your track right away.
Yeah, I will. I'll put a billboard up. I did. Oh, by the way, I did do a little bit of video, but being an idiot that I am, I can't get it off my iPad onto the chat. I tried a couple times and it won't go.
Well, you can post it on YouTube.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But one of the guys has a camera and he's going to film them next week. So
Cool.
We'll see what happens. we might have to do a lot of deleting or something.
Yeah, and you either post it unedited or you spend hours and hours chopping up
Not
little
my
bits.
thing, but we'll see what happens. It'll
Oh.
be new.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. Anybody else got anything club related they want to talk about, past, present, or future? If not, let's just open the floor. Questions, projects, just chat. Go ahead, Alan.
There we go. And FYI, as far as the rosin printing is concerned, I just learned something. I've been using the rosin now for quite a few years. And if you recall, I just showed you that one that came off of the printer. I got a little bit of rosin on my hand. I didn't think anything of it because I've been working with this stuff for years. But during the period of time that we were talking, you probably saw me leave for a little bit. I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there, it raised one heck of a blister.
Wow.
Within a very short time frame. So for those guys that are messing with rosin,
use your
behoove you to wear the gloves.
Yep.
Shame on me.
Yeah.
But I didn't wipe it off in time and you know, soap and water. Didn't think anything of it, but it did a number on me.
Yes, especially some of those mixtures can be pretty caustic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
even when you're casting, because it's an exothermic reaction, you got to wear gloves and long sleeves.
yeah, and with UV cured resin, it's mainly just the irritant that it is, and you know, it's still resin, so you still can develop an allergy to it. So it's basically just a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when you develop an allergy for it. But you can delay that reaction. The more PPE you use, the more you get to play with the resin before you can't play with it anymore.
Yeah.
As I'm blanking on the name, but
Mr. Renicky.
yes, there we go. Yeah, he had to stop. He was making resin pulls for all kinds of people. Loved his stuff.
Well, and he did not only did great work, his volume. I mean, he pumped out a lot of great product.
Yeah, and for him, it got to the point where he couldn't even go in a room with resin of any kind without having a reaction. So he had to just clear it out and get rid of it.
I noticed that with fiberglass resin, when I work with a little bit of that, it will give you like a cold or terrible symptoms like that sometimes, and also pass out if you're not fully ventilated on that. And
Yeah,
I imagine it's the same type of thing. It affects the body just from the inhaling of it.
Yeah, and isn't it when you do fiberglass, aren't you using like an epoxy to?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's even worse.
Well, it depends upon the resin. I don't think it's not really an epoxy, but kind of.
Yeah. But then the fiberglass itself is, you know, fibrous glass. You get that stuff in the wrong places.
Yeah.
I love watching those old films from GM when they were making the first Corvettes, and these guys are doing it like barehanded. It's like
no respirators or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know some guitar makers that have sanded certain kinds of woods like blackwood and it's very toxic.
Yeah.
And some of them gotten quite ill from it.
Yeah, there's wood. Bubinga, I know, is one of those exotic wood toxic.
Well, when we worked on brakes on cars, I was a mechanic in my former life, and we used to blow the brake dust off with an air blow gun back in the day.
Just right, you're in front of your face. Just
yeah, oh yeah, just you know. Now, of course, it's like don a mask and gloves and spray it all down and clean it off that way, and you know, put it in a hazmat bag. And like, oh my God, all the years I thought about breathing that stuff in is like.
Well, never mind the era where body filler was lead.
Oh yeah.
And in the old days, the brake pads had asbestos in them as well.
Yeah.
So I can't claim to, I'm not young, I'm not particularly old either, but having worked at an AMCO, I learned very early on in that career, or that job, I'll just call it, you can wash almost anything off with solvent. And it's a great way to get your hands clean too.
Yep.
And every time I hear about some of these cases, I think about that and wonder, anyway.
Is the clock ticking?
Little morbid. Sorry.
Yeah, how do you get rid of the solvent?
Yeah.
Oh, you just dump that down the drain. There's a.
No, I mean, you wash your hands with the solvent, but you can't get the solvent off your skin then, right?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and it's absorbed. So, yeah. So
We've all
old and
got
so
some
late
bad.
smart.
I guess we've all got some bad stories like that.
Oh, for sure. What's up, Wayne? You got a club corner, Wayne?
Yes, I wanted to bring it back to a happier note. You might notice, John, that I've joined the meeting through another medium.
Yeah, you mean like the dartboard? Are you in a pub?
No, I'm in the meeting twice so that I can share some photos on my phone that I haven't yet made it to the computer.
Excellent.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So do this
You
by
need Wayne to
sharing
be on twice.
screen. And hopefully,
with you sharing. Okay, that's
okay. So it's a little behind in the Zoom chat. Let's see if this works. Come on.
It's like the Matrix.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, hey, I saw that film. It's on Netflix.
Yes. This is where the two guys. This is where the two guys get in the convertible and drive it off the cliff as their way to a slot car race. Is that the one?
Okay, slow down.
The
Slow down. You're way
Godfather.
ahead of me.
I
This
think
is
this
a
is the one
photo-
where they have a body in the back. They're
No,
hauling
I've
it.
seen this is Tarantino's new movie called Pulp Armature. Pulp Armature. I remember this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This must be pre-wound.
All right.
Okay.
wound.
How's about we just play a game where I put
Yeah.
photos up and everyone tells me what happened?
Go ahead, Wayne. Let Wayne do his thing.
This is a photograph I took last night on the way. Now you know these two faces, both regulars in the chat, and this is the first time we've met since the Rockingham race back in the summer. But Alan was kind enough to invite me to hit one of his regular slot car clubs because I was working in the London area. He took a detour on his way to the club to pick me up on the way there. So I took my controller to work with me this week. And, oh, you see, I've swiped on my phone, but it's taking a while on the chat. There we go. This is where he took me. This is in Wood Green in London. And this is the home of the London Scalextric Club. And this is the assembly process of the track we're going to do some racing on.
Sorry, Wayne, do they have to assemble that for each meeting?
Yeah, they do it on a weekly basis, and they've done it for over 40 years.
Really?
This track isn't 40 years old. This is Scalextric Sport Track, and I think they said that they'd rebuilt the tables and borders and everything to fit the Scalextric Sport Track about 10 or 11 years ago.
They have all the original connectors on it because that track's kind of hard to take apart in the middle.
It's
with the little tabs.
in sections, as you can see, and they're all individually powered. So the connections between the sections aren't electrically required. A lot of the pins are still there. Some of them are missing. But each section has its own. I've also moved on my phone screen, but the Zoom chat doesn't appear to have.
Yeah, it seems to be stuck a wee bit, Wayne.
It does, doesn't it?
Your
Yeah.
phone might not have a very good connection.
Let me check. I'll put
I
it
gotta
onto
say though,
Wi-Fi.
from your first photo, somebody probably went out for a big Kahuna burger.
This is in a church hall, and they've been in this place since the 70s, I think. Ah, there we go. Drop the connection. So, with your permission, I'll try again.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a
While
couple
you're
of pictures
trying,
worth a look.
that's an incredible track to set up and tear down. Never mind to run.
Yeah, you wait and see.
Isn't that the club that had that video all about the history of the club? I forget the name of the video or the.
Would that be
They like interviewed.
Tuesday? I'll come to that video. I think you
I think we're thinking of the same one. Yeah.
Friday Night
Yeah.
Rush or something, isn't it? It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's right. I was told to look for it when I was down there yesterday. So we're trying again. There we are, though. The track's built.
Yeah.
And I'm still there. So I shared this with a few people last
set
night.
that up, Alan? Or Wayne?
Oh, I think they get this set up in about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
They're all very adept at doing it because they've been doing it for so long, and it's all held together with little metallic clamps and wing nuts. And if I don't know if this will work, but yes, the Zoom works. Look, there's some chocolate box type connectors. They don't plug wires in and screws. They've got these little plug-in terminals which they just click into place, and that's how it's all powered together. But it's a painted Scalextric sport track, urethane grey floor paint, they called it. And as you can see, it gets black tyre marks, the tyre debris left behind on it. The club is entirely urethane tyre based. So there's no rubbers, no silicone. Personally, I don't think I've ever driven on a surface like this with cars on urethane tyres. And these were the club cars. Now, they told me that they were 1/24th scale.
That looks
However,
like a vac. Is that a vacuum body, Wayne? Sorry to interrupt.
yes, it is. It's an externally painted PETG vacuum formed body. It has no interior, and it runs on a 132 scale chassis underneath. I'll show you that in a moment because I knew someone would be interested.
3D printed.
It's a 3D printed chassis base plate, and I'm not sure about the pod. Maybe more astute or more knowledgeable ones would tell us. I did ask them what the motor is, and they called it a scale. I think was it a Scale Auto Tech 1?
20K.
That mean anything?
Yes. Just
Yeah.
short term. Scale Auto motorway. 20K.
Yeah. It ran well enough. It's a huge straight.
Good motors.
Yeah. And this is how race control is run. There's no names in the computer system or anything. It's all just written down on a piece of paper and in a grid format. Yeah, the elusive 15 lapper. They run for 2.5 minutes, and the lap time for those cars was in the high 9s and low 10s. If you do a 10 every lap in 2.5 minutes, you should get exactly 15. And you can see 9.8s and 10.01s, and I was very, very close to cracking a 15 lapper, which would have put me. They know their cars, they know their track, but for a first attendance, I think I showed reasonably well. And there's the cars on the light bridge on the start line, and there's Alan in the background up there. So yeah, Alan took me to one of his local slot clubs. I had a fabulous time. They were very welcoming group of people, and yeah, we had fun. Any questions?
That was London Scalextric, you said?
London Scalextric Club. They have their Facebook page. They have their website.
Yeah, good stuff.
I can't tell you what it is, but
That's great. Now, Wayne, did they run any other classes like other than Mini?
No, strangely enough, most of the night was people bringing along their club cars for other nights and giving them a test run and in preparation for future weeks and one thing and another. And although we were there from about 7:30, racing didn't start until, I'm going to say, 9:15 at night. And we ran 2.5 minutes in all 6 lanes. So the only competitive part of the night was a total of 15 minutes of driving. But you always got about 1.5 minutes running the new car that you were going to adopt as you went into the new lane. So all the cars finished, the power went off at the end of a heat. All the cars remained where they were, and the tenths of laps were collected. And And then the new drivers were announced, and they would get up onto the rostrum, and then the power would go back on, and you'd get opportunity to learn your lane a little bit and learn your car's characteristics, because there were very slight differences between the cars, and it didn't really matter. You know, you got your minute and a half to learn. One of the cars in one of the gutter lanes was particularly hot. It was shockingly hot. It was really astoundingly good. Yeah, that was the 15 minutes was the whole night, and it finished around 11. Very, very laid back, very, very different rhythm. Very interesting to experience the nature and differences of different slot car clubs, and learn a little bit on the technical side as well. Like,
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good time.
And I'd like
If
to
you
thank
finished
Alan.
at 11, did you still get a chance to go to the pub afterwards? Or?
Oh no.
Oh God.
Unfortunately not.
What a waste.
They actually, a few of them in the know brought a bottle of beer along with them. That was an insider trick that I didn't know about.
Uh-huh.
Well, next time, bring a case and make a few, Bob.
There you go. Yeah, that's not for me. I get mad if the guys race past 9:30. I'll be like, no, let's finish this up. I want to go home.
It was fun when I got those early photographs to pick a few individuals out from my WhatsApp and Facebook friends and send them these shots. Just the shot on its own with the track in the background, like little jealousy shots, you know, to ping their interest. And where the hell are you? What are you doing? And that's sparked a few conversations. I might have hit Courtney up in the middle of the night for him, though. I don't think I thought about that before I sent it to him.
It's okay. I didn't look at it till I woke up.
No problem. I did wonder why he didn't reply. Rude.
You ping me anytime, big guy.
Thanks, no problem.
Yeah, visiting different clubs is always fun, you know, especially when they're welcoming like that.
So Wayne, were you still trying to entice Courtney to sort of make the trip, or?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In case anyone doesn't know what that reference is to, there's the Le Mans 24-hour, probably the biggest slot car race, digital slot car race that exists, period. Would we agree on that, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much.
It takes place at the end of April 1, 2, 3, I think it is, very soon. So there'll be more pictures and feedback.
They won't let me
after
leave.
that.
They won't let me leave the country after the incident. I'm still under investigation. They call it it's the Samson incident. A lot of people don't know about that. All right, I have one.
All right, what you got, Courtney?
Well, I'm building a new IPS car. I got a TA71 250 LM. Has anybody built anything on their 3D printed chassis?
Yeah, I've built a couple of TA71 chassis in GT3 cars.
And were they stiff enough, floppy? What did you think?
They seem to be okay. I wouldn't say it's super stiff, but they were stiff enough for what I was doing. The cars all work really well.
Well, and for this, I think we're limited at 18,000 RPM.
Yeah.
And they got skinny little tires on them. I think we're only allowed a 8 mil wide tire.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've become a fan of the Scale Auto pods.
Yeah.
So
I think it's more important that the pod is stiff than the chassis itself. I think the chassis probably be fine.
Okay. That's good to know. That's kind of where I was leaning. I don't have the I don't have the brass and wire skills as some of you do.
Well, just a matter of practice, man.
So what did my buddy Tony sent me his little Samsion.
Tony Palmer. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
So
that
I've been-
car. Oh, okay.
Oh, that car. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a story behind that one.
Oh, there's a story behind every Samson car, I'm learning.
That
You're trying to build a car to compete with that one?
that particular chassis actually started under a shark nose Ferrari Formula One.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Because it's got a that's right. It's got a mounting point right here.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember Tony saying that.
Yeah, it started under a shark nose Ferrari, and he sent it off to a proxy down in Tasmania or in Australia. And it came back in pieces because people didn't understand that if you wanted to take it apart, the first thing that you had to do to get the body off was to take the front axle out and the rear axle, as far as I recall, because I built it around all of the suspension parts that were on the Scalex shark nose Ferrari body. It was a pretty
That's right.
little car. And so then he sent me the chassis because he realized that the wheelbase matched the 904 body really well. And I just added some side pans onto it and mounted it.
Yeah.
That
Tony
body was
is-
on another one of my cars at some point, I think.
Yeah, he has his track taken down. So he goes, you just have to drive this. It's really cool. And it is. It's a neat car. And of course the craftsmanship is awesome.
Thank you.
So yeah.
See if I can find the photos of that car.
That's the pocket review from Courtney there. Awesome engineering, and it runs real good.
Who made who made the body set? Oh,
It's a Carrera body, as I recall.
I think it is Carrera. It's the car's small, but it runs. It's dead smooth and quiet, and it's got no bad habits. It's really kind of a cool car, at least on my little track. And of course, in my capable hands, as Wayne is aware, these are my life. So I exercise them daily.
I'm assuming
There's what's a rise in insurance prices for those.
Was that the
That's
donor
right.
body there, Dennis? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm looking at something else for a moment.
Yes, that is the body.
That's the body, but the one that Courtney has was red from the beginning, right? It wasn't repainted.
Yeah, I think it is a Carrera body. I don't know the history of it, but yeah.
Yeah, Carrera made a nice version of that car. It's really
The Carrera one's very nice, and of course, Area 71 have a version as well, because I've built a couple of those chassis for those for Tony as well. I found the pictures of the Ferrari. This is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the car, and there's the chassis underneath it. Right. You can see that original mount at the back, and then it didn't have a mount at the front because it didn't need it, because the front axle held it all in.
It's got a huge guide.
Yeah, that's the Slotting Plus guide, and when I built it, I just left it full length, and Tony did. He did shorten it eventually. I seem to I recall. But yeah, and then that was how you took it off. You unscrewed the screw at the back, and then you had to pull the front axle out so that you could get the suspension off, and then it all popped off that way. But the back end incorporated all the original suspension parts at something else.
Yeah, that looks great.
And that car, and it ran really, really well as a Formula One car. It was really nice. So when I got it back, I just I used this center section piece here. That this little piece in the middle actually slid back and forth and rattled around in there, and then I used that. I changed the mounting system, and I used that to mount the side pans off of that. and that gave us an ability to put the side pans on to mount it under the 904.
Beautiful work as always.
Cool stuff for sure.
Good place for us to go ahead and hit the stop button. As always, come to a live chat. It's a lot of fun. Until then, everybody wave bye. Bye.